Hey guys, welcome back to Goose Adventures. Honk honk everyone. I'm Jen and I am so glad you're here. Guys, welcome. If you're new here, yay, I'm glad you found me. And if you've been with me, thank you so much for being here. Okay, so if you're new here, I'm Jen. I've recently lost about 130 some odd pounds. I am detailing what I did and how I did it over here on this channel. And I do have another channel. It's RHR Jen, where I cover all things royal family. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out as well. But today I'd like to talk to you all about weight loss and stress. I'm somebody that has been very open about my struggles with anxiety. I am diagnosed with PTSD, and I want to talk about how that affects weight loss and how it affected my weight loss journey and tell you some tips and tricks that work for me and maybe get some from you guys. So, welcome, and I'm so glad you're here. So, guys, again, I'm Jen. I'm glad you're here. And I want to remind you all I am not a nurse. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse practitioner. I'm not a nutritionist, nothing like that. I'm just somebody who went through this experience. I did it drug free and surgery free. I get asked that every time. I did not do either of those things, but I don't judge anybody who's done any of that. We all need help in some way, and you got to do what you got to do and what works for you and what's right with you and your doctor. You figure that out. It's still hard, I would imagine. I don't know if there's a miracle cure to this thing. I think it takes hard work, and I think you have to work on it every single day. So, again, that's up to you. But me personally, it was not part of my experience to do those things. Um, I I've been open. I always say I'll answer. No, I say you can ask me any question you want. I won't always answer them. I'm pretty open about a lot of things. There's some things I'm not. I won't talk about. But one of the things I have talked about is my struggle with stress. Anxiety is something I've dealt with for a long time. I don't go into it, but I've been through some things. And and I've been diagnosed with PTSD in the past, and um it's something it's just a part of my personality. And so I I definitely, again, in the past have turned to food during times of anxiety. And anxiety is something, unfortunately, I live with most days. Sometimes it's worse than others. Now, I can tell you that I personally believe in therapy. It's something that I have rediscovered recently. It's something I've definitely done in the past, and I'm for it. It helps me. And if it helps you, good for you. And I don't think there's anything wrong with talking about things like that. I think sometimes there's stigmas about that. But again, just like I was maybe uncomfortable of saying, I can't believe I had 140 pounds to lose, but I did. And I did it. So I don't think there's anything wrong with talking about, I needed help. And so I've gotten it. I've been getting it and I'm still getting it. And if you're watching, I love you. I have a helper that's wonderful and very supportive. And so I would just first say, if you were in a dark place, there's no shame in asking for help. I didn't There's so many options available for help too, whether it's, friends or family or professional help. I've done all the above. And there's so many options out there I wasn't even aware of. I thought I always think of like traditional therapy, and that's great for some people, but there's other routes as well. You have to figure out what you're comfortable with. I would say on that, do some Googling, talk to people that you trust and ask maybe what works for them or if they have a suggestion and go from there, you know? For some people, it might be heading in a spiritual direction. Some people, it might be, again, a more clinical direction. Some people just aren't into it. So you have to decide what's right for you and make that work. I can tell you honestly, for me, it has made a huge difference in a short amount of time. It's almost like giving me hope. And I'm dancing around it because I don't go personal on that stuff. So I'm just going to leave it there and say, when you say, and I've read your comments and you talk about anxiety and stress and stuff and turning to food, I can so understand that and I can so relate to that because that has been me in the past. Now, this is a different experience for me because having lost all this weight and I mean, honestly, being in times of stress, and going through that recently, I've handled it differently this time. So my solution was to, I mean, I ran away to Disney, and that was a different experience because again, before I would have just turned to food, and I totally understand that. There would have been times in my life before where Disney would not have been an option. I couldn't afford it. I couldn't swing it. Whatever it was, I couldn't have done it. It just so happened this time I could manage it. But it doesn't have to be that extreme. You have to figure out what works for you and turn to that and maybe look for something other than food. That's something that I've had to do myself. So I've written down some things that have worked for me, and I'm just going to tell you what's worked for me. Some of it might work for you, some of it might not. You have to decide for yourself. But I think this topic is so important, and it's something that affects so many of us. I felt the need that we should probably talk about it. Here's what helps for me, okay? I need to identify what is stressing me out. That actually does help. I have pretty bad anxiety. And so if I can take time and understand what is driving my stress and maybe even what's driving the cravings, that sort of thing, I can then address a root cause rather than just filling myself with junk as I would have in the past. Because filling myself with junk, yes, immediately it would feel good, but then right after I'd have this feeling of dread and the anxiety of the original root cause was still there. So that's just something to think about. So like for me, it's been things again like work pressure in the past has been definitely a cause of stress for me. Emotional distress is something that hits me, even like boredom and things. Those are all things that I have to keep an eye on and think about and think about what is triggering this and what's the stress trigger and that sort of thing and figure out what's really going on. So that way I can work on the root cause rather than just feeding myself. Um, when I was trying to think of, well, how do I do this? What are practical tips? How do you do this? So I was Googling it honestly, because this is the part where sometimes I struggle and I can ask my helper and see if she has suggestions as well. But from what I could tell, some of the recommendations are things like keeping a journal. Note when you feel stressed, note when you crave food, note the time, the situation, the emotions. And something that I've been learning about is patterns, because that's definitely something that I struggled with too. Again, in the thick of my eating situation was patterns, feeling like I had to eat this certain thing or do this certain thing, or even like it sounds so silly and simple, but like I would think, oh, I just had something salty, I need something sweet, or oh, I'm sweeted out, I need some salty. And you kind of get in this pattern and you may not even realize that you're doing it. So it's about breaking that sort of thing. And I think, again, it won't work for everybody, but I think for a lot of people, just writing it down and looking for those kind of things might help. Another one that's recommended is practicing mindful eating. So what I mean is, again, with food addiction, which is something I personally struggled with and something I have to keep an eye on for the rest of my life, that involves like automatic or emotional eating. Whereas mindfulness is teaching me how to slow down and how to make intentional choices. Okay. So, what I mean is, before I eat, the thing that I've gotten in the habit of doing is thinking, am I physically hungry? Am I actually hungry? Which sounds so simple, but I didn't do that before. I would just eat. But now I am, it sounds weird to say involve my brain, but I do. I've had to involve my brain more and think, am I physically hungry or is this emotional? Because It's surprising how often it's emotional. And let me preface this by saying I never, ever, ever want to get into the ED territory. Um, People ask me what that is. Not erectile dysfunction. No, eating and then the other word, disordered, right? So I never ever want to get into that. So don't dare take what I'm saying as anything like that. If you're hungry, you need to eat, you need to see a doctor, whatever you need to do. Don't take I'm not offering medical advice. So don't get into, I don't even want to dance around that sort of thing. But for me personally, what I notice is I ask myself, is this an emotional thing? And a lot of times it is. It's the same thing when I said what works for me sometimes is if if I'm being tricked into thinking I'm hungry when I know I'm not actually hungry, climbing in a hot bath helps. It like takes over my brain and my brain starts thinking about the calm water, the warm water, the feeling, the happiness of being in a warm bath and things like that. And it takes me out of the wanting to overeat or eat the wrong thing or whatever, or just the feeling of needing to eat. Again, that sounds like I'm ignoring it. If I need to eat, I'm going to eat. It's not that. Don't misread me. Don't. But I know for me, it's almost like a habit. So I had to break that and I had to really think about it. So something I had learned about in this process I want to share with you is called HALT. I don't know if you've heard about this, HALT. What that is I had to write it down. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. So ask yourself, am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Or am I tired? Since doing that, it is surprising how often the answer is not hunger. And again, I've been at this now a year and a half. I trust myself so much more than I did at the beginning. I wasn't good at that at the beginning, but now I can instantly tell, not instantly, but usually instantly tell. And if the answer is hungry, then I'm going to eat. Again, I don't want it to be anything other than that. But if I'm angry, if I'm lonely, if I'm tired, then there are other solutions for me. So that's where I'm going with that. So if you haven't heard about the HALT method, that's something that has helped me. Another tip that I'm sure you've heard of by now is eating slowly. Eating slowly, savoring each bite, and avoid distractions. That's tough for me because I'm one that likes to. If I'm with my Gosling, I'm with my Gosling. I'm paying attention to her. But on the nights where I don't have her and I just eat, solo or whatever, I'm staring at my TV or my phone. It's just what I do. Um, and so I'm trying to be a little bit more mindful about that. So just think about that. They say, try to savor each bite and avoid distractions. Start with small portions. That's something else I've learned. And wait 10 to 15 minutes before you get seconds. And that's something I ask myself too is, do I want more? Do I feel like I need more? Sometimes the answer is yes, but oftentimes the answer is no. And it's even like, do I feel like I need to finish this? Sometimes the answer is yes. And if it is, then I finish it. And if the answer is no, then I'll box it up and save it for another time. It may be later that day. It may be a different day. But it's just, I think it's like that. I might be using this wrong, but it's the mind body connection. You're paying attention to what you're doing and you're paying attention to how you feel and then you're making your decisions accordingly. So those are the tips that I would give you. Look for any kind of stress reduction techniques. That's what I'm working on with my helper now. And think about if we can lower stress, if we can figure out ways to do that, and we all have stress, and there are times where it is just off the charts, especially, again, not especially, but somebody that deals with anxiety, there are times where things feel like I can't it's too much, it's too much to deal with. So I'm learning techniques to handle that, to be able to take it one step at a time and handle that sort of thing. And with that comes the reduction of the urge to use food as a coping mechanism, I find. That definitely used to be something I would do, and now I'm learning other techniques. Again, I go back to the bath. All I have to do is put Epsom salt in that bath, and something about I'd heard about the magnesium helps people with anxiety. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. Me personally, what works is adding the magnesium. It helps me relax and it helps my anxiety go down. So then I don't find myself reaching for as much food. So for me, that works. Something else is try deep breathing. I've just made notes on things that work for me. So again, take some of this, take all of it, take none of it. Let me know what works for you. Definitely in the comments. Let's take from each other, but let's share with each other. But there's a 4-7-8 technique. Do you know about this on breathing? So inhale. Let's try this. Ready? Okay. Let's inhale for 4 seconds. Ready? Okay. Hold for 7. Okay. Exhale for 8. Okay. And then they say do this for 2 to 3 minutes when you're stressed. So 4-7-8. Another tip that's recommended is muscle relaxation. So what they're talking about is progressive muscle relaxation. So they encourage people to tense and release each muscle group. Things like your shoulders. Let's try our shoulders. If you're able to do this, again, I'm not a doctor. If this works for you, what I like to do is tense my shoulders, and I tense it for 5 to 10 seconds. Okay. And then you just release. And you can kind of feel the tension going away by doing things like that. So pick your muscle group. I tend to hold tension back here, so that helps me. Pick your muscle group, tense it, and then release it. And for me, that actually helps, like shoulders, arms, legs, wherever you're holding tension. Even in my head, sometimes I have to release. They recommend quick movements, so like a 10-minute walk, a stretch. You shift your focus from food to your body. You pay attention to things like that, and sometimes that can help as well. Another recommended thing was to reframe your negative thoughts. So what that means is like it's saying that food addiction can be fueled by like feelings of guilt, or do you ever get that all or nothing feeling? I definitely do. Like I messed up, so I'll just keep eating, or I've messed this up, so I'll just start Monday, or I just don't start, whatever it is. You have to reframe that, and you have to think about, again, it sounds easier than it is. It's taken me a long time to do this, but setbacks are just that. They're not that big of a deal in the long run, right? As long as I'm mostly making the right choices, a setback here or there is not going to derail me. And again, my confidence with this stuff has come over time. It's just something I've had to work at every single day because I messed up a lot at the beginning, but now I don't really find myself doing that so much. I just feel calm in my choices, and I feel like I can trust myself so much more. So I think it's that practice makes perfect thing. So I hope that helps. I would say challenge your negative thoughts. Like if you're having thoughts like, I'm a failure, I'm failing at this, that sort of thing, then you have to think about, okay, what's the evidence? I ate more than I planned. Okay. But there are days where I make healthier choices. So you have to kind of think about that. You're not a failure. It doesn't mean you failed. You may have messed up one round of this thing, but there's so many more rounds to go, if that makes sense. That kind of helps me put in perspective a little bit because I'm definitely one that can see the worst in things, right? And see things with the wrong perspective. That's definitely something that I struggle with. I would say create a support system. Thank you, my support system. I appreciate you more than I can possibly say. I have a wonderful support system. And part of my reason for this channel and for being so vulnerable and open about things like stress and food addiction and stuff like that and my physical struggles has been to create a support system so we can flock together, if you will. I love that goose so much. This is Ryan Gosling, if you haven't met him. We love Ryan Gosling. He was a gift. Thank you for Ryan Gosling. But um, yeah, so it's creating a support system. So for me, my mom is, part of my support system. My good friends, my family, my therapist is part of my support system. Like there's just people in my life that I can count on and that I can trust. And thank God for them because I've definitely had moments in my life where I felt more alone, and it is hard to do that. But that's one of the reasons for this flock is because I feel confident to say there's enough of us here that if you're struggling with something, I'm sure somebody else here is struggling with something, either the exact same thing or pretty darn close. So just something to keep in mind, and it might help you not feel so alone. And know that I'm here, and I do read your comments, and they mean the world to me. You guys leave me the nicest comments, but not just that. It's like you feel comfortable and you open up to me, and that it's a safe space, and I appreciate you so much. Now, bear in mind, everybody can see what you're writing, so just keep that in mind. But um, when I say things to you in the comments like, I'm here with you, I mean that. I'm here with you. I've been at every phase of this thing. At the very beginning, the very first minute of the first day where you're like, so much. There's so much to do. I'm overwhelmed to, when you're like, okay, I'm a couple weeks in and it's going okay, but it's going to take forever. Like you just keep going, and we'll just keep flocking together through this. We can do this. We really can. I believe in you and you believe in me. And that is the most incredible feeling. So if nothing else, we can be a support system for each other. I would say come up with a plan for healthy alternatives. That's something I want to dive into in a separate video. Um, Things like having accessible, healthier options has made a difference for me. Coming up with a plan, making sure that I don't let myself get too hungry, because I don't know about you, but when I get like hangry, it's just like whatever I can grab, right? But and I'm going to do this in a separate video, but like for instance, here at my desk, I always keep things like this, like these snack mixes, especially something that's going to have some nutrition to it. Things like this have helped save me because I love the way it tastes, but it's it's just something to reach for. So that way I'm just not starving and it keeps me fueled, I would say. So just think about healthy alternatives, things that um, can replace things like, I think sometimes during stress we get these go-to foods. We need to replace those. If they're not healthy choices, maybe we replace those with something that is a healthy choice. I mentioned before, like I never want to deprive myself, and there are times where I just need some chocolate. So instead of just eating chocolate cake, which I would have in the past, I now reach for chocolate almonds, something with some nutrition to it. So that way I still get that yippee from the chocolate, but I get the nutrition of the almond, something like that. So think about nutrient dense things like fruit, nuts, yogurt, things like that to satisfy you but still be getting the nutrition that you need. And again, I will do a separate video. I've heard you loud and clear. Some people are asking for what do you eat in a day, that kind of thing. I'm happy to go into that with the understanding that I'm not a nutritionist. Everybody's food is going to be a little bit different, but I can tell you what's helped me and stuff. I would say meal prep is another one that might help. That way you avoid impulse eating, especially in times of stress, or if you're just feel like you're starving, that kind of thing, it'll help. I would say set realistic goals. I have been very vocal about this. I have taken my time in this thing. Um, I didn't have an end date in mind. I didn't know what I was setting out to do when I first started. I knew I needed to change things and lose weight, but I didn't say, okay, in 3 weeks, I need to lose 10 pounds. That's crazy, like that's a lot of weight to lose in a short amount of time. You don't want to do that to yourself because if you don't, you're going to feel down, and everybody's different, and I'm sorry, but if you're a woman, like, certain times in your cycle, like, things just you can't help it, like, numbers go up, and you're like, "Damn it." You know? It just happens, we're women, it happens. But that said, like, I would say set a realistic goal and think about it. Only you know how you work. It took me a long time before I could even get on a scale because I knew that seeing the high, scary numbers would just throw me into a tailspin. So I just didn't look. I figured, well, eventually, when I start feeling better about myself, then I'll look and then I'll go from there. And that's exactly what I did. Now, believe it or not, I actually wish I had looked so I could tell you exactly how much weight I've lost. It may be more than I'm even dreaming of. I'm just telling you the numbers that I know for sure I've lost. I think it's maybe even a lot more than I say. I don't know. Somewhere in that ballpark. Anyway, aim for okay, so on the realistic goals, the thing that I was thinking about is I think when we're starting out, we get really gung ho about things. We're like, I'm going to change everything. Aim for small swaps to start out with. That way you're not overwhelmed. Okay. So, like, aim for one change at a time. Like, instead of soda this week, drink water. See if you can do that. That Coke Zero is my Achilles heel. I'm always drinking that stuff. That I feel like that is my last addiction that I have got to break. But I'm again, I'm being easy on myself in that regard because I've given up all the fun stuff. No, I've given up everything else. So I'm like, okay, I know I've got to kick that, but I'm just one thing at a time, right? And so that's been my back burner thing that I'm going to have to take on soon enough, but not yet. Okay. But whatever it is for you, make one change at a time. Track your progress with a simple checklist. Like maybe I had a vegetable at lunch. Check, you know. Um, I practiced mindfulness today. Check, that sort of thing. Celebrate small wins, like choosing a walk over a snack when that makes sense. And reinforce positive habits by doing this. I make a big deal out of, I love to take walks now. I used to not. Now I feel like it's part of my day. And if I don't, it's almost like I feel like, "Arr." So even if it's just for a few minutes and I'm like, oh, I need to work, I need to work, I need to work on this video, I need to edit, whatever. I'm like, nope, 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 nope. It's all going to be here when I get back. I need to take a walk. And it's amazing the difference in my mind when I do that, when I prioritize something like that, a healthy habit like that. It does wonders for me. So I would say that's a big one for me. Setting realistic goals and then celebrating even small wins like that. Although I don't think walking is a small win, that's a big deal. Any kind of exercise is a big deal. These are some of the ones that I came up with. This is a list I'm going to have to add to as I go, but these are what have worked for me so far, and this is where I want your feedback. And I really want to know, I need you to chime in. What works for you? Is stress something that you deal with? Is anxiety something you struggle with? Do you find yourself, as mentioned, like, do you reach for the wrong foods during times of stress and anxiety? I know that's a common problem for a lot of people. Some people, I think, turn away from foods. I always reach for them. So I'm curious to know about this. And do you have a coping mechanism other than turning to junk food? Is there something else that you like to do that maybe you feel comfortable sharing that would help the group? I would love to know. I've already learned so much from you guys, and I hope that I can share just a few things that I've learned with you all, and I hope this helps. And again, I just want to say sincerely and truly, thank you. Thank you for being so kind to me and so wonderful and supportive and just all the things. You mean the world to me. Can I just say you have moved me so much by your comments, not just your wonderful, kind comments toward me, and they are wonderful and they are kind, but I'm saying toward each other. I've seen the way you've supported each other and the way some people have already started a weight loss adventure and lost a couple pounds in the few weeks I've been doing this. That's incredible. You should feel so good about yourself. And if you're nervous and you don't know where to start, just start. Maybe speak up in the comments and we'll flock around you, tell us. We're here for each other. And can I just say thank you? Thank you. Because again, stress, I mean, it's something that everybody deals with. I think some of us more than others, and some of us just don't handle it well. I definitely don't. And again, I mean, I, I'm not, there's parts I won't talk about, but I have been open about losing a sibling and how that is like life changing grief and, other things that have led to pretty severe anxiety. And so I don't pretend to have the answers to this. I just have had a long history of this kind of stuff, and it's hell. And I don't know about you, but I tend to believe, for whatever reason, I've had to go through some of the things I've gone through. I don't know why, and I won't even pretend to know why, but maybe I can use it to help other people. So maybe that's why I'm here. So that's what I'm trying to do. So, guys, thank you for everything. Thank you for being so lovely and kind to me. You mean the whole wide world. I hope this has helped you in some way. I hope you know how much you mean to me. You truly do. I appreciate you so much. And I can't wait to bring you more stuff like this. I'm dying to read your comments in this one. I really want to know what works for you, if there's ways you handle stress and recommendations that you have, if there's something I didn't cover, if there's something I covered you want more information on, whatever it is, leave me comments and I look forward to reading those. I thank you so much for being here and for all your loveliness and kindness toward me. You mean the whole wide world. And I truly can't wait to bring you more stuff like this. As mentioned, I'm Jen. You can find my main channel at RHR Jen. That's where I cover royal family things. I have a slight obsession with England, so you'll hear me talk about that a lot over there. And the UK. I love my UK peeps. And now I have a slight obsession with, I don't know, like helping people and going through this weight loss thing, this weight loss adventure. And I don't even like to say weight loss anymore, just getting healthier, I think is what it is. So if I can help, I'm here. Thank you guys for everything. You truly mean the world to me. And I just want to say sincerely, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for being so lovely and kind to me. And I can't wait to bring you more stuff like this. Honk, honk, everyone. Bye bye.